Most popular songs. I mean, that sounds fucking fantastic. Ed, you probably have to go because you're actually on top of your YouTube game, and I respect the hell out of that. But I did have a question for you. I had not an argument, but a discussion with a player named Fle the other day. I don't know if you know him. He's a German guy. I think he was ranked like top 200 or something like that. And we were discussing content within the Osu world. And I, I, I was curious. Fle, his name's FLEH underscore, I think. Um, and the discussion was more or less that like, what would it take for the Osu world to have a Jinxie effect? You know how there's Sam Solix for weightlifting, there's Jinxie for Rainbow Six Siege. I think, and you know how there's like, I guess another example would be like, I guess maybe Mango for Super Smash Brothers Melee. I I feel like with how much history this game has, what would it take for there to be like an explosion of players in 2024? Because the more I'm learning about this community, the more I'm seeing that like there's like a lot of potential here for this. Like, because like I don't think a rhythm game will ever get like truly boring because it's very cathartic. Vaxe, don't know who that is. I get Royal G and Ed. That's my algorithm right now, and Lewis Rossman. TikTok integration runs away. If you're interested, I can hop in a call to explain. I would love to, because I mean, if you look, because what's it called? If we looked at the boost in viewership from like from Rainbow Six Siege when Jinxie started popping off, I just like I don't see how. I don't know. I just don't see how it's not possible. Yo,
Morning.
good morning.
So, there's been a lot of discussion in the USA community about like how the content is like very stale. It's the same thing over and over again. Blah 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 blah. Right.
Hmm.
Uh, the thing is, I feel like Osu is very very interestingly positioned as a game to have a lot of potential for growth, and that's mainly because of the relationship between its developers and its players. Osu is very heavily a community based game to the point where literally anyone could, if they wanted to, they can make a meaningful impact on the game if they actually go out and try to make something cool, right? So what does that actually mean in practicality, right? Uh, Osu's development team is really just a small team that's mainly focusing on this new update that will create a platform, an open source platform for players to create new features and create even new game modes and new stuff, right? We're already even beginning to see it as literally this morning there was a new tournament that was just released that uses an entirely different format that is already like garnering a bunch of attention. But the problem at its core is that Osu still doesn't have a very accessible way for new players to get introduced into the game. A lot of it is really through hand holding or yo, you should check out this game. Let me show you how to play type of a deal, right? There is no real like way for a player to just download the game and learn from just the game itself on how to download beat maps, how to learn and progress through the game. Like other games have like story tutorial modes, or they have like through playing their story mode or something that's forced upon you, you learn the mechanics of the game, etc. Right? A lot of the stuff that is common knowledge through the community has literally just been figured out through trial and error, and then what's called discussing it amongst themselves, and it requires like interaction with the community in order to figure it out. So tutorial based content, I feel like it would be the first step in making things more accessible and allowing things to be easier for newer players to hop on board. um the next step in my opinion would be to actually bridge this there's like a chasm. Like I don't think people realize just how easy it is to interact with the devs and do cool stuff because there's really one guy who basically manages everything, right? Uh, People will complain and want to see features and they'll be like, "Yo, when is this being added?" etc., etc. But the reality is, they're already overwhelmed with their own points. So they're relying on the community to basically do it, right? And I think what people don't realize is that if you actually do go out and try to, take the effort to make something cool, they will be receptive to try to support it, if that makes any sense. And so, uh, there are small communities where that's happening. A lot of that is within, say for example, the performance points system. A lot of that has now been outsourced to the community to figure out what is the best way to judge individual performance after you play a song. How do you actually give it a fair rating of performance points? So there's new developments happening in that scene. There's an upcoming update that has been approved but not merged yet that basically makes the system a lot more fair by removing an idea called combo scaling. And there's a lot of discussion that happens on that front. I would say the only downside is that with it being a community based game, there often isn't really a person who's able to call the shots. And that's where I kind of have been taking a more proactive approach of trying to be like, okay, I'll be the one to step and be like, yo, I think this would be cool. And then to try to mobilize things. So there's a lot of things that are kind of like going, but at the moment, it's like, yeah, it's still operating as if it's like a really tiny game that's like, you know,
Do you know what the player base is off the top of your head?
player base. I know it hit like 20 million registered users like a while back. I'm not sure what it is nowadays. OC registered users. Um, 23 million registered users.
Is there? Do they know the average concurrent player base? Wish you could track this like Steam.
I'm pretty sure there was like a community made website that tracks like the server statuses and like the active player base and something or something. Let me find that.
You're definitely not wrong on the accessibility for new players. I literally had to have a top player walk me through how to download the driver. The He sent me this Kube's tablet buyer's guide, and then
It is so ass, dude. Like that guy Kube, another community member, right?
Oh
He decided to go out of his way,
yeah.
all right, using like a 3D printer and like to create his
thank you
own
so
like
much for the
testing
raid fire. Hope you had a good
mechanisms to
stream.
basically create a master spreadsheet testing every single tablet out there on the market and like giving it a rating of like what's the like is it good, is it good value, like does it have any significant issues and things like that. Kube is amazing.
Hmm.
But
Is tutorial I can't speak. Is tutorial styled content the first step? Because I don't know. I'm starting to wonder. Okay, it's like, do you remember how Apple used to sell their products back when we were like 5 years old, if that? A
uh
lot of their stuff was like those old commercials are like, you're not buying an Apple computer, you're buying happiness. You're buying a bigger dick, basically. They sold feelings instead of product itself. And so when I think about people like, Sam Suleks or Jinxies, obviously both anomalies, and there's a lot of, not a lot of, there's a little luck that goes into shaping personalities like that. But I'm sitting here wondering if, like, is there a way in which this game could see a resurgence with a different style of content? Because I don't disagree. I've seen a lot of the different stuff that you've done. I remember I actually went back yesterday and watched the game show that you did. Remember the shoeboxes you put up
oh yeah.
on? I went back and watched that, and I thought it was a really good idea, especially considering you know how limited the. I don't want to say the game's limited, right? At the end of the day, it is clicking circles, but like it's a big jump away in terms of creativity, which I commend, because for me, like trying to find a new way to build a computer is sometimes monotonous. But
Yeah.
I I don't know. I was sitting in here thinking about this a lot because like 17 years is a lot, and the more I watch, the more I'm like, there are so many storylines that have happened in the 17 years of this game that it's like it is more this. I don't know if this isn't meant to sound rude, but it's surprising to me that there aren't more people like you with how rich this game is, or at least different
Oh,
types of personalities doing things outside of just like like big PP plays.
I think the problem with that is that uh Osu is inherently like a single player game,
Mm-hmm.
right? So a lot of his user base tends to really just focus on the raw gameplay aspect of it. Only the most like dedicated community will occasionally find themselves like engaging in other sorts of content, and because it's so community oriented, it heavily favors people who have been with the game for a very long period of time. And that seniority status isn't really like what's called uh easily achieved. Like I remember when I first started like playing the game, I've had like a couple like viral hits or something. But I was considered on the outside until I started like engaging with until I actually started getting good at the game, earning the respect of other players, and then earning the respect of like the greater community at large through like attending events and meeting these people. So I feel like there is some sort of resistance in that front because there are people who are genuinely trying to create content and try to push the scene forward, but those are usually new audiences that are not as deep into Osu, and as a result there's like this sort of divide, almost like it's basically gatekeeping in a way, right?
That was the word in
uh
my head. I just didn't want to say it out loud.
yeah, exactly. There is a I do feel like there is a significant problem of gatekeeping. What I will say is that there are some people, say for example, Koifishu, uh, Tokaku, let's see, Willie. There's a couple creators that do genuinely make an effort to make creative, innovative, like content, respected content that does appeal to a wide uh audience within the Osu community. However, I don't feel like you can tell that they're missing the meta of YouTube, if that makes any sense. Like finding that balance where it is servicing the community but also optimized for the platform.
Oh
I
my
think
god.
there isn't
Oh,
that much of that.
that art, that not that art, but that skill. I guess it's art and skill. That
Yes.
I,
So like for me, like I've committed very early on of like, okay, this is going to be like my full-time thing. I will obsess over it every single fucking day and even like pack my bags and move to LA if it means that I can surround myself with that environment to crack that code, right? So I feel like I feel like I have that understanding, but then like communicating that to other people, it's like how do I teach this to someone else? Like if I were to just teach it in the way of like a format and the best practices, like they can take that and basically create like a Mr. Beast clone type thing. But it doesn't give it character, it doesn't give it personality, it doesn't give all that stuff. It's usually it's really something that you figure out over time by yourself with the guidance and feedback of other players. And um I've offered my support to other content creators. If anyone like asks me for like advice, I'm always happy to help them on that front, right? But I think there's still there's still a lot of time that needs to pass, and a lot of learning that creators need to go through to figure out that right balance.
I have a personal question then, because I find it, that struggle and that balance between appealing to your niche and a wider audience a very fun struggle. Sometimes it
Yeah.
fucking sucks. How, when you first started, you probably don't get as much for it now, but did you get pushback from your own community, Osu specifically, when you started trying to do content that appealed both to a wider audience as well as still using the core of Osu as the main point of content?
The easy answer, the TLDR is yes, right? So when I first started playing the game, like, uh, a quick backstory, like I only really started uploading videos and live streaming because, or just for my own reasons, as in like I just wanted to have a log of my own replays so that I couldn't be accused of cheating. I had a friend that I was like a rival with, and we were like playing together. He got accused of cheating and eventually was falsely restricted. I was like, holy fuck, this is fucked up. So I started to like play every single day and like live stream all of my plays, and then whatever fun stuff happens. So over time, I realized, oh shit, this was funny. Let me upload this onto YouTube, and then uh, yeah, that sort of mindset. However, my perspective on things has always been making the content that I want to see. So it has never been the goal, so to say, for me to appeal to the OSU community, it just so happens that, you know, a lot of the stuff that I think is good content eventually happens to be content that people found and found to enjoy themselves. However, I will say that when I was growing as a creator, I was in my own bubble of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I got to like averaging like at the time, the biggest social content creators were like Wubble Wolf, like I think around like a couple 10,000 or 20,000 subscribers. Uh, or there was Chippy. Like these names that are mainly just focused on raw Osu gameplay. Um, and then there was my sort of content, which was more on like the funny moments that happen on stream. Osu is really just a medium that allows for those fun moments to happen on top. Uh, it was a different style, and because of my personality, it was viewed as like this cringe, like, yo, dude, this guy is, you know, I was hated, dude. No one liked me on Osu Game. R/Osu Game is like the hub where all community discussion happened, and I was literally the most hated dude on there, bro. But it was after I went to COE 2018 and talked to the top players, and then like eventually the previous top Osu streamer named Happy Stick like basically stopped and like almost endorsed me in a way. Like we worked together on a lot of different projects, and eventually like as people saw that like I'm actually trying to make an effort to do cool stuff, like I feel like it took a long time for me to earn that respect. Um but yeah, does that answer your question?
It
I don't know.
does. No, I find it interesting because when it comes to keyboards and computers, I personally just remember being flamed. Like,
Oh, 100%.
it's like trying to. I don't think people understand, which is very frustrating, at least for my own niche, and then also respectfully for yours, that like when you try to change the way things are, or you try to open up the floodgates to get more people to get eyes on what it is that you find cool, a lot of times people are gonna, I guess for lack of better words, call you cringe for it, hate on you for it, call you a loser, at least look poorly on you. But
Yeah. I
I
feel it too.
I can see the shift in content. It looked like almost like 3 years ago is when you started to start doing that bridge, that gap between like Osu and the rest of the internet, which I find interesting. It's cool seeing
Right.
the transition here.
Yeah, it's a literal transition that you can kind of see. And so what I find still fundamentally the most difficult thing to solve is that a lot of the content within the game is bottlenecked by the fact that you have to be good. Like if you're not at
Hmm.
least like top, I would say like top 10,000, like you are at a significant disadvantage Osu-wise because a lot of the content involves playing songs or beat maps or this new song just got released. It's relevant. It's time to like check it out or that sort of thing. There is another subsection that I think is worth investing a lot of time into, and it's mapping, like creating levels for the game. There's a lot of really interesting content in Osu mapping because it genuinely is treated like an art form in its community. Uh, and there was one person who pioneered making that as accessible as possible, and his name is Pishy Fat. His videos were like extremely loved by the community, appeal to everyone, both new players and the existing mapping community for the most part. And now he basically works with the Osu team
Hmm.
to make content for the official channels and the updates and stuff. So Pishy, I genuinely think is the best Osu content creator.
I need to look at him then.
Yes. He's inactive on his channels, but if you look at Pishy Fat, you can find his old mapping content, and you can see exactly what I mean by accessible content that is educational, that brings people in to get involved, right? And if you look at the content on the official Osu Game YouTube channel, you'll see how he's taken that and translated over to, service the game itself.
Okay, so then the next question is, when do we just spawn in another one of you, and then it'll have the advantage of just like TikTok brain plus your content mind, and then we can just make a whole new genre of content for people to flame, but then eventually need to accept.
Anytime, really. Like I'm in this position where like I want this stuff to happen, but there's only one of me, and that's the problem, right? And so what I've been struggling with personally is that I'm trying to make cool things happen. However, uh so much of my time gets taken up by the stream and then just maintaining current avenues that like I'm a content creator first. I'm not a good manager, right? And when it comes
Hmm.
to making other projects and cool, interesting things happen within the community, a lot of that is a lot of management and like people, like understanding people. And like I got into this because I'm an introvert and I like to sit in my room and play games. So it's been a huge learning experiences. But for sure, if someone wanted to like come in, if you want to come in and genuinely like make an investment, I'd be down to, work with you and make it happen, dude. Because I do genuinely think there's a ton of potential here.
I mean, I agree with you. I like this game. Respectfully, I'm gonna make computers as fun as I can.
Fuck yeah.
I have my own battle. But I mean, I do. The thing is, I can't build a computer every time on stream. That's the downside to not being a gamer streamer on Twitch. But
Hmm.
I do. I don't know. It's just fun to look at something when it has a lot of potential and be like, "Fuck! Like, why doesn't this? Why doesn't this work better?" Because that's I mean, the more I'm watching, the more I'm playing, the more I'm enjoying it. I'm just like, damn, like this just it fe-
It's a great product.
it feels like something is missing, but also at the same time, there's like a lot of things already here. Mm.
Yeah. So I the way that I see it is that it's like a petri dish, right? It's a petri dish. You have a couple things, and they're constantly like, growing in on itself, uh, without much outside influence. There's a very like because the game itself isn't able to make significant strides to introduce like features frequently or have update cycles or media pushes. There's no marketing budget for the game. Zero, right? It only spreads through word of mouth. Like it's really up to, you know, the creators to spread the game. It's up for the, volunteers who love the tournament community to create tournaments. It's up to what's called artists who love the game to create cool art and stuff and service the community. And although a lot of that is, you know, it's very surface level, right? Like there's you can't really do much with a lot of individual parts that do it by themselves. I do think that if there is an entity who can help to organize things together with and create an incentive to make that financially capable, then that would be the missing piece that could make a lot of things happen.
Mm. That that sounds like an uphill battle.
It is a huge uphill battle. So
I'm not
so
gonna
like
lie.
I created like an event called the Round Table. Before I realized that events constantly lost money,
Uh-huh.
but it it did prove the general mindset that if someone wanted to, if someone has a vision and is willing to put in the time to organize something together, there are people who are willing to answer the call, if that makes any sense,
Hmm.
right? And volunteer a lot of their time to create that vision happen to make that vision happen. So yeah.
We need Osu Mr. Beast. I think that's Ed. You just need 10 more hands, a video team, an editing team. Do you edit your own stuff?
Um, for the most part,
You poor soul.
and up until like the last couple of years, where I've, dude. Okay, so I understand that I'm just a dude who grew up through high school, who eventually came into this, and the only things I've learned is through trial and error, and then reading books and etc. Right? Uh, the way that I heard delegation was done is if you suck at something or something takes too much time, just hire someone. No one explains how difficult the hiring and then managing that person process is. Because my first editors were, okay, edit this video for me. Here's the clip. Goodbye. And then whoop de doo, I'm surprised that they sent the clip back to me of the finished product. And I'm like, this sucks. And then no one talks about the emotional strain, which is how do I tell this person that it sucks? But then wait, maybe I'm the issue. I didn't set the right expectations or directions for him. No one told me that I'm supposed to create a brief. Okay, I need to make a brief? Okay, so that means I need to make sure that I go through the content and spend a lot of time to set it up. But then wait a second. So there's like I need to invest to make sure that an editor can actually do their job, but then I'm still needing to spend time to do part of their job. So why don't I just do it myself? And then it's dude, no one teaches you this shit. Yeah.
You want to know what Michael Reeves said to me one time? I can't forget this shit. Like I've sat down and watched Mr. Beast podcast because I find them genuinely interesting what he has to say. But
Same.
he's like, like just outsource it, like so I can spend more time doing this. And then I was at OTV's old house like 3-ish years ago, whatever, and I saw him editing his own video. This guy who's a top tier YouTuber editing his own fucking video in his garage, and I go like, why are you editing your own video? And he says verbatim, because if I give it to someone else, they're gonna fuck it up. And he was so serious when he said it, and I was like, oh,
it's true.
uh,
Well, the reality is you need to you can't just outsource it. You have to create the environment for them to succeed, and that means your role shifts from being a content creator to being a manager. And creators, a lot of creators out there are not good managers.
they're barely good humans. Wait,
That's true.
skip that. Skip
Yo!
that. Skip that. Skip that.
Get that, dude. Yeah.
Skip. Didn't say it. Oh my god. Yeah, no. I separate conversation, separate time.
That's for the iceberg, you know what I'm saying?
What's it called? I appreciate you telling me this shit though. This is very
Yeah,
interesting.
of course.
If not that I have anything specific to offer, but if there's ever a crossover in your content of computer type shit, there are other better people for keyboards, and you know plenty about keyboards. But if there's ever something interesting computer wise, let me know. I'm happy to help out if there's something that can be done.
For sure. I'll actually message you tonight because you know Alan, right? From Level Up?
He lives 5 houses down from me. You want me to go kick his ass right now? What's up? You got beef?
No, he was literally at my place like 2 days ago, something like that, and we were talking about this. He told me about your keyboard company and stuff, and I'm like, wait a second, I see potential. So I'll let you know. All right.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your stream, man.
Appreciate it. Talk to you later. Peace.
Yeah. Peace.
Ugh, God. Finally. I thought he'd never stop yapping. Now I can play circle game. I'm joking. I actually want to take a look at this later. I'm going to copy paste this for myself.